Welcome to Mi Escuela es Escuela. My school is your school. The radio and TV program from Montgomery College. It is a pleasure to be with you today. Before we start our programming for today with an interview, I would like to remind you of the following numbers. To get information from Montgomery College, please call the following numbers. 240-567-5000 is the number from the Office of Admissions in the Response Center. The number for the Office of Financial Aid is 240-567-5100. The number for the section of Workforce Development and Continuing Education, which also includes English as a second language, is 240-567-5188. Please remember these numbers, put them in a place in your home where you can have easy access to them. This is going to be very helpful to you and your family. Today, I have a pleasure to have with me Gloria Moya. She's an alumni from Montgomery College and is also a filmmaker. And I've been trying to have Laura to come to an interview for me for a very long time. So welcome to Mi Escuela es Escuela, Laura. It's a pleasure to have you here today.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure to be here and to finally
connect,
yeah.
Connect in person, yes.
Yeah.
Laura, you and I, we've been exchanging emails for a while, trying to find the right time, the calendar. I know you as a student, you graduated from Montgomery College and then you continue with your education. You were also working, and so we couldn't find a time when you could come to the radio. And certainly my idea has been all this time that I would like you to share your story with the audience about your experience as a student at Montgomery College, obviously, but also your experience as a filmmaker. I would like to know I would like you to tell us and tell the public how was your experience at Montgomery College?
So Montgomery College was it was a great experience. After I finished high school, I got accepted to a really good school in Pennsylvania, but I couldn't afford it. And so I remember I was talking to my sister, and she was saying, don't worry about it. It's okay. Go to Montgomery College. Do what I did, because she also went to Montgomery College, and then you'll figure it out. And so that's exactly what I did. I went to right after graduating Montgomery Blair High School. I enrolled to Montgomery College. Focus on general studies, so that'll be easier for me to transfer to other schools. And then after that, I took a year off to make the documentary The Right to Butterflies, and then I transferred into New York University.
Well, so was the university or the college in part of it was in the horizon when you were studying at Blair High School? Was high school, obviously finishing high school was something you wanted to do and you knew you had to do?
Right, yes.
Mm-hmm. How about going to college or attend the university? Was that something?
Yes, it was always within my goals. With my mother, she always practiced to me, it's important for you to have your own degree, because as a woman, nobody can ever take that away from you. You have your education, you're good. And so from that, I always knew it was important for me to get it and to finish. And so I obtained my associate's degree from Montgomery College, and now I'm working to get my film major Bachelor of the Arts degree.
How did you find your way to the arts? How do you decide? What was a factor in finding the arts and finding your inclination or your passion for filmmaking?
Well, I think from my dad's side, we like a lot of creative arts. One of my uncles was a poet, so we always liked that. But it was through my mother that she enrolled me in this computer programming course for girls, and it was actually at Montgomery College where we had that course, now that I remember.
Was this part of the youth program that the college has?
I don't remember.
How old were you when you took the class?
This was in middle school, so I think I was 13.
Yes.
But it was a youth, it was a girl empowerment program. That's what I remember.
Okay.
And so, and it was through this college, not college, but computer programming course. And so around that computer programming course, we took a field trip. They took us on a field trip to Discovery Channel's headquarters, since it's right in our neighborhood.
Right.
And so we went there. I saw for the first time how it is that shows are put together through editing. And so I just really enjoyed watching the creative side of
Yes.
putting everything together. And so from there, I made sure that I went to Blair High School because they have Blair Network Communications, which is a multimedia student-run program. And so from there, just continued to take media production courses. And I love social studies and human rights. And so I just infused myself with those two. And the fusion of those two are the reason why I really enjoy making documentaries. And growing up in Silver Spring, which is a arts and media hub community, and with the Silver Docs Film Festival. So it's that exposure and the people that have made that exposure possible for me. And the combination of what I enjoy doing.
There have been people in your life, obviously, who have been giving you the support. Your mother, you mentioned your mother, who registered you for this class, but also were people at the schools that were supportive of or got you. You know, we often talk and have guests coming to the radio program when we tape live, and the radio program that said, you know, actually there was someone who was very helpful to me, and he was very supportive. In this case, anybody that you can remember, or people at the school?
Yeah, I mean, I have a circle of people I like to call my life mentors. And that,
fantastic, yeah.
You know, that's my mother, that's Michael, my sister's business partner, my sister. There's also been Mr. Schindel from Montgomery Blair High School. He was a big part of that. And I was thinking about how in high school, there was one point where I was working full time, and it was taking a toll on my studies. And he was the one that put me aside and said, do you really need to work that much? You know, I know it's important for you to work, and that may be something that you're taught at home to do, to always work. But, you know, if it's not something that you need, you really need to focus on your studies. And so that's where there was like the shift in me, for me to not focus so much on working, but more
concentrated.
on school.
Yeah.
And I think that's important because, you know, in Spanish, Hispanic families, it's always important to work. And there's also that necessity. A lot of youth take on these adult responsibilities, and that's just because it's the means that they have to do in order to make the rent or to help their parents. So I guess, I don't know what I'm trying to get to with that, but if there were to be programs for that, that would be great. But yeah, so Mr. Schindel really helped me with that, and Ms. Thomas, she was another great person, Mr. Whitaker, Miss Ann. So.
Well, you know, you have very good memories about people who have got you and helped you along the way. And you have touched several things that I think they're very important, more so when we're talking about a specific population, and you're referring to Hispanic Latinos, and you said the families and what the needs are many times in the family, and how children and young people take responsibilities because they think they feel very strongly that they have to be doing that for the family, the commitment that they feel to help the family. But it is great because you're sharing all this with me, and you're sharing with the public who's going to be watching this later on or listening to this program later on, that you're telling us, you know, you're part of this community, and you know what decisions are made and when and why. The many people who don't know this community may not know as to why sometimes students, for example, will not go to school full time, will not, or would skip a semester we're still asking ourselves a question, say institutional higher education, as to why many of the students who come from these communities seem to all of a sudden stop going to school. Retention many times is a factor with populations like the Latino Hispanic population. So it is, as an insider, some of the classmates in Blair High School probably, you probably saw some of your classmates who may not have finished high school, or maybe some of the students, your classmates when you were attending Montgomery College. I don't know if you saw or met people who, students who started with you and then they didn't continue and graduated like you did with an associate degree from the college.
Yeah, I mean, I did see that happen, but I think that's a larger issue at hand, which has to do with like society and I mean, yeah, it's a very like more complicated, reason as to I think why students aren't able to continue to finish their high school or their college degree, but also with institutions. I always recommend people that if school's not for you, that's okay. But if you have something that you like to do, just put your heart into it. And so if it's not school, if it's, if it is making films, you just go ahead and do it. Go for it. Or whatever it is that you want to do, just go ahead and practice and do it. But also recognize that there are people who don't have the opportunity to do that because they need to work in order to put food on the table, or in order to, in order to make ends meet. And so there's the dualities in that, and yeah, I think that's what I was trying to get back to. That would be great, like for more programs to be able to help that somehow.
Well, this is great. It is fantastic that you're providing this insight, and obviously you are a mature person at your age. I think is that many students may not be thinking in those terms, and it's very difficult sometimes to articulate a thought. There may be all these things happening around you, but you don't know how to actually put it into words. But you said too that it's very important when you have a passion for something, and you said film. If it's film, pursue that. If it's the arts, pursue the arts. In your case, obviously, it was this exposure when you were in middle school and then in high school to the arts and filmmaking that put you on the track or the path to pursue film and filmmaking. Right. Isn't it?
Yeah, no, it's been an exposure, it's been the participation of my parents, it's been the program that Montgomery College offered. I mean, it's a lot of different reasons, but then also just one's own ambition to take advantage of the opportunities that are presented, for you. Yes. So it's a lot of different things that I like. I'm a creative person. I really enjoy the arts. So it can't be, just one thing, but it's just a lot of different reasons, and that exposure with my parents taking me there was very important.
You have, we met because you directed and produced a documentary, The Rights of the Butterflies, in 2011, was the summer of 2011.
Yes. And
I was fortunate to learn about the program and the film, and in that summer, and we were very fortunate at the college to be able to screen the documentary. When you finished the documentary, you were ready to show it. So I thought, yeah, we need to show it at the college, and we were able to do that. Tell us about how the Right of the Butterflies happened. Why the title? Why the story?
Okay. So The Rights of Butterflies is a documentary that follows Katya. She's an undocumented student, and it chronicles her journey as she pursues higher education. And so we were fortunate enough that Montgomery College, thanks to you, we had the first screening here, and since then we have also had other screenings here at the university, and then also at American, College Park, and just throughout DC and Maryland. And so, but before all of that happened, having once been undocumented and witnessing my own experiences of, you know, seeing how people call immigrants parasites, criminals, all these terms that are just not true, and it's just bringing back to how, you know, the conflict between the Tutsis and the Hutus, and during the Rwanda genocide, how it was the same, but as far as the name labeling in order to devalue a person, in order to be able to oppress them. And so I just saw all of those, witnessed all those experiences, and I saw how it was important to tell the story of an undocumented youth in America in the 21st century. And so then I pitched the idea to Gandhi Brigade, their youth media and justice organization in Silver Spring, which I strongly recommend, you know, for all of the youth. If you want to just get a lot of stuff done, experiment with either photography, music, or film, to go out there. And so I went ahead and pitched it to them, and then they helped me assemble a crew of 5 people. Laura Guesdag, she was a media trainer. I had met her before from Student Soups Films, which they are a media production company in DC. And also Alan, Sandrine, Zaid, and Benyam. And we are all between the ages of 16 and 26. So this is really a youth-produced film. And we're all coming from different immigration experiences and backgrounds. And so it's just a really nice fusion of social justice and creative filmmaking.
It's wonderful because I think the Gandhi Brigade is a wonderful organization. I think they're doing a tremendous job. I know them since soon after I started working for the college, and they were making a trip to El Salvador, and they were documenting this trip. And when they came back, I called them and I asked them, I said, what are you going to do with this? And they said, we don't know yet. And I offered Montgomery College to show, and I said, why don't you show it to the college? And that started me with what I call the documentary screening series. It was an attempt to provide a space, and I thought for me it does provide a space for all the local filmmakers. Sometimes I think it's very difficult for you when you make a film, make a piece of art, then where am I going to show this? Where are the venues? And for me this is perfect. And in this case was not only that the director, the producer was a Montgomery College student who was graduating. You were a student. You just graduated last year,
yeah,
right?
I graduated when in 2011. So by the time I started the documentary, I graduated.
Yes. So you were, and I thought this is fascinating. I was fascinated and so excited with the topic that you were addressing, and also to find out that you were. And I thought what you just said, that the group was made of students who were between 16 and 26 years old.
Right.
I mean, it's just fantastic to think that all this group of young people get together to address an issue that is so important, that it doesn't not only affect specifically, say, one group of immigrants in the United States, but it's more than that, and it's so diverse. When you talk about the undocumented population, the face is usually Hispanic or Latino, but it's not only Hispanic and Latinos in this population. There are many other people who also fall in that category, but somehow the face seems to be they have to be Hispanic or Latinos when you talk about immigration issues and the fact that the undocumented. So I said, we need to show this. So I told the director, Richard Jeji, who's a wonderful person, and the Gandhi Brigade is really a great program. I said, Richard, we need to screen it at the college. So we did. So it is fascinating. Now, how did you find the protagonist for the piece, for the documentary?
Well, I met Katya in high school. We're both in Blair Network Communications, the BNC program, and so that's why I first met her. So in the back of my mind, when I was thinking about the film, I was also thinking about Katya, just because I knew that there was a struggle to continue higher education because of one's undocumented status. And so But I thought, okay, let me first ask the community who it is that they want to ask. You know, who they believe would be somebody to tell this story. And so, because education is not for everybody, I mean, it is very important, but there's a lot of people who are doing a lot of great things, either through community service or just by working in order to make ends meet for their family. And so those were the three things that I was asking people. You know, who do you believe is just getting a lot of work done through community service, or who is working really hard in order to make ends meet, or who's really struggling with their school and are great at it. And so from that, people would just always point to Katia. It was Katia. And so it was to make sure the community, and just having her in the back of my mind, that she became the storyteller of the film. And yeah.
And obviously there you also had to face another part of it, is that in her case she doesn't have an immigration status, so you had to take in consideration the fact that she would have to come out and make her situation public. So I'm sure you were thinking about that too all along when you were selecting who the protagonist was going to be for your film.
Right. Yeah, I mean, it's a lot of responsibility for, you know, that. I mean, one, for Katia and the courage that she had in order to tell this story. Yes. And also, just as a filmmaker, it's, you know, it's responsibility that if something happens, you know, it's on me. And I'm okay. I mean, she's the one taking that risk. And so it's a lot. But having once been undocumented, as I mentioned before, I knew how important it was to be able to tell one story. Because if you don't tell your story, you know, who will? And so that's why I knew it was important to tell the story of an undocumented youth in America, in the US, and what is their experience like. Because that's not something that's talked about, and it's something that's invisible, and if it's something that's invisible, you know, it's harder to get more rights going. And so in order to secure it, what I did is we talked to lawyers to make sure that, okay, what are the precautions for Katia, and how could this, if this is a risk, how could it be a calculated risk? Mm-hmm. And we also talked to a lot of immigration organizations. And we're not the first to tell the stories of undocumented populations. There's also, we talked to Burke Stanberry from Center for Community Change, mm-hmm. and that's what he does. Although this was the first and only documentary of an undocumented young woman in Maryland, and just a portrait of that, which I thought was very important.
And back in those days, I think when you were putting the documentary together, also there was the issue about the Maryland considering again addressing the issue of the students, the Dreamers in the state of Maryland, if I remember correctly. So it was a way to put I think for you and people in Silver Spring, the Gandhi Brigade, which works with justice and to put a face. I think it's that they tell the story, put a face to the students who are here, who want to continue with their education, and there is this roadblock in front of them. So see, this is the story. This is one of the stories. It's one of the many stories. And I think the timing was perfect.
Yeah, I mean, it was. I had the idea to do this, it was in May 2011. And then Jose Antonio Vargas, the journalist, he came out as being undocumented. That was a huge thing. And he was inspired by the Dreamers who walked from Florida all the way to DC to raise the profile of the undocumented population. Yes. And so it's been this wave of, you know, back and forth, people who give courage to each other, and then, you know, another person gets more courage from that person who tells their story. And so so from that's where this movement has risen, yeah, no, it's been great.
I think it's what is fascinating about what you did, and I'm sure you're going to continue doing films and documentaries. They're going to address issues. They're of importance to us all. It is great, and I think it's, for me, I see it as a great future for all of us. That film is a great medium for you to put a face to, present the story, and expose, because many times the people may not know about something, and I think as you may hear one side of a story many times, but this is, I think, is fantastic, and I'm very hopeful with the students and people like you, that I think there is a future to talk about issues that many times we don't. So I'm waiting for you to tell me, obviously after the Ride of the Butterflies, what is that you're doing now. But first, let me tell you something. Let me ask you something. Where can the public find the Ride of the Butterflies, the movie? Where can they go? Where is this save, or where can they buy, if there is a way to buy the film,
Sure.
the documentary?
So for the viewers, they can buy the film by going to GandhiBrigade.org. And that's where, if you go through there, there's a link for the Rights of Butterflies, and you can buy the DVD for $20. And the funds, part of the funds go towards Katya's education, and it also goes towards Gandhi Brigade. So you know that the dollar that you're putting is going for a good cause. And so that's where you can get it. Yeah.
Very good. And by the way, my guest, Laura Moya, continues her studies, and one of the reasons that she's here today is because I said, Laura, you had to come and give me an update. What is the progress? Where are you now? And so, where are you? I know you're studying in New York. What school? Where are you studying in New York?
So right now, I transferred to New York University, and I'm studying film production. And I'm minoring in Latino studies, and so it's been a great experience. Let's see, the first semester I got to meet Sam Pollard, who is an excellent documentary filmmaker. I followed him for a semester, and then we edited montages to honor Spike Lee at the Museum of Modern Art in New York. And from him I learned a lot. He's a great individual, and right now I'm working on my documentary, which is an experimental documentary of an undocumented factory worker from Mexico on a fishing pier in Brooklyn.
My goodness, so you had to then come and screen your documentary at Montgomery College.
I would love to.
Oh, well,
Everything
fantastic.
to
Fantastic. So we have a date when you finish with your documentary. You let me know when it's ready, and we can find the time and the space, and we can do a screening. That would be fantastic.
I would love that. Thank you
Good.
so much.
Oh,
I already have a date for the film.
Oh, yes, good. So, listen, something else you would like to share with our audience? We have a minute to go.
Yes. I would like audiences, especially just to get informed right now with the policy that's going on with immigration, with the Comprehensive Immigration Reform Bill, and just to stay up to date as far as to what's going on, how will it impact them? You know, if you're undocumented, how will it impact you, your parents, or your coworkers? Just to get involved with that, and a good organization for that is Casa de Maryland, and to see, you know, if this is something that's good for us or if it's not. Just because there's a lot of things with the bill that there's a lot of issues, but yeah, I would encourage people to get involved with community work and to stay up to date with what's going on with immigration.
Well, thank you so very much. It's been a pleasure to have you here and informing us and telling me. Having this conversation is good. Laura, thank you so much for making time. I know you had to drive your way back to New York today.
Yes,
if I remember, we were trying to get this interview today because I'm thinking, she's going back. I don't know when I'm going to be able to meet you and have the chance to talk to you. So thank you so much, and good luck.
Thank you so much for having me.
Best wishes.
Thank you.
Well, we're almost out of time. This has been an incredible interview. I will encourage you to please continue to tune in, watch our program, Mi Escuela es Su Escuela, My School is Your School, in Spanish and English. This is a new thing that we're doing. Now we're taping also in English, so this is going to open the door to many more of you to learn about what we're doing. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful day or a wonderful week. It's been a pleasure. Take care. See you soon. Bye-bye.